STM is engaging in what we now call authentic indigenization because Indigenous students are underrepresented in our college. They've been underrepresented in the university, so STM, like our University of Saskatchewan, have set targets for including Indigenous students. And a focus on authentic indigenization as a priority for the institution helps to point the way towards building capacity within the institution and reaching out to elders, knowledge keepers, our new STM scholar in Indigenous education to help us help our students feel more at home here. I think it's important to STM, especially after the discoveries of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, and particularly after Pope Francis visited Canada to speak about the role of Catholics in residential schools and to make an apology, and then to urge Catholics to be involved in the effort towards reconciliation. That speaks also to a Catholic college like St. Thomas More College. We have to be involved in that effort, not just an observer.
Canada and Saskatchewan and communities like Saskatoon have been around for over 100 years. Okay. And in that 100-year period, there has been a really unhealthy silence of Indigenous people in this environment. I think when they created the reserve system, they did it in such a way as to ensure that voices were lost. This is an area that is it's not being I don't think is being well addressed right across this country, and we're at a time where we have to move into new territory and take new risks, and all in the spirit of engaging Indigenous people in a place that they should have been engaged right from day one. They have much to offer. They have much to share. And if we don't create the place for them to do it, it'll be lost. When we talk about why is it important for St. Thomas More, well, the challenge and the calls to action is, drop the old ways and learn how to be more Indigenous in your thinking about being welcoming, about sharing, about building, and going into a process of movement, and finding a way to do it together.
I think if you look at STM today, you would be struck by things. If you were here, a few decades ago when you came into the college now, you begin to notice some obvious visible signs. You would see some Indigenous art, for example, on the walls of the building. If you went into the chapel, you couldn't miss the fact that now there's a teepee in the chapel, which was the result of a long process of discerning that we need to have things that are more than just symbols, but actual sites of teaching and ceremony in the building to send a true signal to students that their culture is welcome here. When they come here, they bring their whole background, their worldview, their culture, and there need to be tangible symbols that they and their culture are welcome here. The teepee certainly does that. If you come to our events now, you will hear land acknowledgements. You will hear prayers in Cree and other Indigenous languages alongside our Christian prayers, and we don't find there to be any contradiction or tension in that. We're a community that prays. Indigenous people also frequently pray before events. You would see smudges taking place in the teepee and elsewhere, and we have organized events like round dances and Indigenous storytelling festivals, all as a way of beginning as a non-Indigenous community to learn more and more about Indigenous culture and to include it in the way in which we conduct ourselves as a college.
We did the round dance here, which is, STM's never done a round dance. But we did it in such a way that we asked the ITEP students, in education, because they had done round dances. They do round dance regularly. That's the Indigenous education, teacher education program. We asked them to come and help us, and they came in and they trained some of our students on what to do at a round dance, how to prepare things and things like that. And then the round dance itself, what the students saw, were the people that they meet in the classrooms and in the hallways. They were out there doing the round dance and being very enthusiastic and enjoying themselves. And so, it created a different picture of that, of the people that they build relationships with, in their journey as students. And it's simple things like that make a difference, because they're focused on relationship building. And I remember first year university, relationship building was farthest thing from the purpose of a university class. And so if we want to change the college, and we want to help the students to feel connected, we have to teach them how. Relationship building is just the only way to go.
This fall, we were invited by a relative of mine, Harry Lafon, to participate in a sharing circle on Orange Shirt Day. And I thought that was like a super unique opportunity, and we said yes. We went in with open hearts, and we went in with our stuffed teddy bears. And we're ready to kind of share stuff about ourselves and our families in a place that seemed very sacred. And when we went into the chapel, I think we were all blown away to see an actual teepee in there and to see the huge mural. And by the people we met in the circle as well were people that wanted to learn our history and wanted to understand, and also know that it was a safe place for us to that we can be who we are, and to be unapologetically Indigenous. It's important for them to see STM as another option after high school, especially if they want to go to university, and if they're scared, that they know that there's a place there that can be small enough and supportive. A university can be super overwhelming, but STM is a place where they could support Indigenous identity and ways of knowing.
STM began its journey in indigenization as far back as 2012, when the TRC hearings were beginning in Saskatoon and elsewhere, and that led through a process to the creation of an Indigenous Advisory Circle at St. Thomas More College. And that circle proposed a chair in Indigenous Spirituality and Reconciliation that was finally inaugurated in 2016. The chair ideally will be a bridge between STM and the wider community, a person who will be based at STM, a scholar and also a practitioner of Indigenous spirituality, who will be teaching at STM, but will also be taking their expertise out into the community and building new bridges with Indigenous communities.
The person who leads this, the person who is selected to be the first chair of Indigenous spirituality, is going to be not so much an instructor as a coordinator. It's somebody who's going to have to understand how to access Indigenous knowledge in a respectful way, and ensure that it's treated with honor, and it's treated as an area of study that is relevant to Indigenous people, but also relevant to all people.
I imagine that Indigenous people will continue to take on positions of leadership and influence. They will have more of a voice in the decisions of the country, including our province, as they well should. And we need a resource that positions an Indigenous scholar who's also immersed in the spirituality of Indigenous people to have that voice that they didn't have in the past, when elders weren't allowed to teach. So part of the purpose of the chair is to show us what the future could look like if Indigenous spirituality is given that prominent place, given an opportunity to be heard and considered alongside other spiritualities, other ways in which people pursue meaning in life, and to be restored to a place that it should have had before that voice was taken away. And I see especially an opportunity in bringing that into a context where there is academic knowledge and into a context where there is a spirituality that has been more widely recognized, a Christian spirituality. But it's time to bring Indigenous spirituality into that dialogue with the knowledge that's produced in a university and the spiritualities of other religions that are already better known.